Welcome back to the Keys to Success podcast with your girl Talisa. I got my girl Deba on here. How's it going, Deba? How's your day been today?
My day has been wonderful. What about you?
Woo, girl, it's busy. It's busy, just kind of one thing at a time. But you know, we happen to make do. I don't know how we do it, but we end up just doing what we need to do to make it happen. So
Absolutely.
we're at. But I'm excited about this episode because today we have a good friend of mine on the podcast today, Kyle Cheek. And Kyle is very young for the most part, younger than a lot of us. But I really wanted Kyle to come on here so that he could really speak to those who were maybe getting out of high school or some of those who are just entering college. And maybe you think that college is the only way that you can create a successful life. Kyle is here to show you that that is not the case, that you can definitely create the life that you want through real estate. And so without further ado, Kyle, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on here.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, no, I really appreciate y'all having me on here. Talisa, I love to see how our relationship has continued to develop since we first met over a year ago now at this point. And I actually believe I met you when you were kind of first getting started enrolling in your real estate journey as well. So to see where you've gone since the first times that we've met has just been super inspiring and motivating for me, and just amazing to see as just your friend is really, really cool. And so, yeah, thank you for having me. I love to be a part of anything that you guys are doing, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Heck yeah. It's amazing how fast we grow in this business, but it's like you have no choice. Like things are changing, markets are changing. And so it's like if you're not learning and growing, you're gonna be stuck with the rest of them. But
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, so how old are you, Kyle? I forget. How old are you?
So I'm 24 years old.
24.
And I've been working in real estate since the age of like 18, towards the end of my year of being 18, early 19. And yeah, I haven't looked back since.
Wow, 18. So Kyle, explain to people what can you do as an 18-year-old in real estate? What was your first real estate job?
Sure. So I'll kind of break down exactly what I did, and then I'll just give some other options out there that anyone who's 18 could potentially do, just depending on what their situation kind of looks like. For me personally, I got started as a realtor. So for the first, I knew I was going to become a realtor, but while it takes a while to get your license, so on and so on, I decided to work for a realtor. So for 6 months before I became an actual realtor and had my own actual license and could go out and have my own clients, sell my own properties, stuff along those lines, I was a cold caller, or what we call in the industry an ISA. So inside sales associate. And every single day back then, the real estate market wasn't like it's been over the last, 2 years. So we had to really work our butts off just to have listing appointments. And so what that looked like was what we call circle prospecting, where essentially we literally just choose a neighborhood and start calling every single person in that neighborhood, asking if they want to list their house. And so that's what I was doing as an 18-year-old, was, going into the office for 4, 5, 6 hours a day and just calling people and asking if they wanted to sell their house. And funny, if you fast forward to 6 years later, have my own company now, kind of a veteran, have done multiple different things within the real estate industry. Here I am still basically calling people, asking if they want to sell their house.
Wow. Okay, there's so much to unpack in this. One, I want to just kind of talk about, most 18-year-olds are not thinking, let me go work for real estate or become a real estate agent. So talk to us just a little bit about what was your mindset? What was going on then that made you say, hey, I don't want to work at Walmart. I want to go into real estate.
Yeah, so I'm kind of twofold. I'm super blessed just with the fact that I kind of come from a real estate family in one way or another. And what I mean by that is my dad works for a company it's a new home builder. So, I've always seen real estate, but from a very corporate level, if that makes sense. It's not really real estate entrepreneurship. However, my grandmother, she was more so she's a broker. She does property management here in Dallas. And what happened was I graduated from high school. I went off to Texas Tech for one semester. After that one, halfway through that semester, I knew I was 100% not going back. Just wasn't in the cards for me. I couldn't really handle it, to be completely honest, either. So I came back. I ended up working at Men's Warehouse while I was still going to community college. And one day my parents asked me, and this is what I like give all credit to this like one lunch conversation that my parents had with me this one day at Burger Island there in Rowlett, Texas. They, asked me to go to lunch with them. We went to lunch, and while we were there, they just told me, hey, we see that you really are not enjoying school. Like, there's no pressure from us. If you don't want to go to school, don't worry about it. Like, you can figure something else out. And that like conversation right there essentially just like freed me to do everything else, because my parents didn't ever really pressure me that much to go to like college or anything like that. But I just think that, the surrounding environment was always like, that's what you do. And so I had never really thought outside the box of that. And whenever they had that conversation with me, it really just kind of sparked something inside me. And so what I ended up doing was on my days off of Men's Warehouse, I'd work there like 5 days a week and I have 2 days off. On those 2 days off, I was just at my grandma's office every single day with her, kind of just running different random, things for her, going to unlock a door there, go pick up this rent check, just classic kind of awful property management things. And so I knew that from that very first day I went into her office that, okay, I'm 100% going the real estate route. What I also knew from about the first week, month in, was I'm definitely not going the property management route. And so she encouraged me and kind of helped me get started as far as like helping me get signed up for like Champion School of Real Estate, getting my license. At that point, I knew I needed to kind of find a different, I actually quit my job at Men's Warehouse, found a local agent to where I was from, and just asked him if he needed an assistant, if he needed a caller, whatever it may be. And that's when he actually ended up hiring me as an assistant, which I did that for about 3 or 4 months while I was working on getting my license. And truthfully, like that helped me more than, the call training was what really, I think, kind of set me ahead, because I ended up getting my license and within a month or two, I'd already sold my first house.
Wow. That is so, so good on so many different levels. Of most kids that, go to high school, they're first thinking, and most people are telling them, what college are you going to? Not, hey, what else are you going to do outside of college? So by you just, talking about that really, I think it alleviates a lot of kids of like, there's other ways to make it in the world. You don't have to go to college. And then it sounded, I love listening to you say kind of like your parents kind of gave you that sense of relief. Like, we are not going to be unhappy because you did not go to college. So it gave you that space of like, now I can be creative and do truly what Kyle wants to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I understand that, like I said, I started that off with saying like, I'm super blessed that they gave me that opportunity and like took that pressure away from me. I know that's not the same for everyone who's just now graduating high school and maybe wants to go the entrepreneurship route, but they do have the actual umbrella pressure from their parents. And that's a struggle. And like, I'll say also like another big struggle that I felt like I had as a 18-year-old not going the traditional route was just like, you really don't have any friends for like 4 to 5 years until they graduate college, because I'm over here as a realtor, meeting with people who are going through divorce and like very serious situations and helping them sell their house and making very big decisions and so on and so on. And they're over here, like the conversations are just extremely different there for a really long time. And so I'm super happy now that a lot of my friends are actually graduating at the age I'm at now, and we can actually have some like legitimate conversations.
Like, Kyle, you were just on a different level. Like, your level of maturity was just, you find yourself alone when you're in those situations, because it's like the higher that you go up, the less friends that you start to have until they can actually get up to where you are. But I kind of wanted to highlight something, because I know that we have a lot of parents who are viewers who watch our show. And I just kind of want parents to listen to what Kyle was saying when he talked about how his parents made him feel like he could choose something else. Some of you guys, you want these things for your children so bad. You want them to go to college so bad that you're really just pushing your wants and your desires on these kids. And if you just allow them to be creative and to do what they naturally are good at, you'll probably find that they're going to be way more profitable than what they could ever be just going to college. And so if there's parents who are listening to this right now, hopefully this kind of shifts your perspective just a bit as it pertains to, pushing and forcing something on your kids that may not be the right choice for them. And so, Kyle, talk to us a little bit more about, so if somebody wants to get into real estate investing, but they don't want to become a real estate agent, they don't want to go get their license, what else can they do to get started and really start making some real money in this business?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question just bluntly up front is you are not going to make any money in this business for probably like the first year. Like maybe you'll make some money, but you're not going to make like money. There's definitely like outliers, but for the most part, the first year is pretty tough. Sometimes even the first 2 years for anyone that's in real estate. And then anything that happens in the market can change things. And so it's a tough industry to be in. That goes without doubt. But a couple other things that I would suggest as far as just like someone who's just out of high school wants to get down the real estate path, because that's really all you need to do is somehow find, a stepping stone that leads you to another stepping stone, and then just keep taking those steps along the way, is just find someone who's already doing something in real estate within your local area that maybe you have some local contacts to. You can reach out to them directly and then just basically try to get a job with them. Whatever tasks they're looking to fill, try to take those tasks and start working for those. Usually those can be paid by the hour tasks. So you can like basically have a job within real estate. And I always recommend that to anyone who's first getting started in real estate is you might as well get paid at least something for while you're going to be trying to learn. And then on top of it, it's a win-win for you as well, because you're learning from someone who's already doing it while being paid. So the same way that I became like an ISA and an assistant for a realtor, go find the equivalent to that for whatever it is you want to do. If you want to do commercial deals, then go find a big commercial, maybe a commercial broker, find a commercial developer. Like they always have different little tasks that are relatively lower level. And if you're young and coming with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, things along those lines, 9 times out of 10, the people are going to be pretty excited to hire you just based off your energy and your excitement alone.
Right. Yeah.
Bring value. Like you really said a lot of just bringing value. Make us want to be, oh, I need Kyle. I mean, I don't care how young he is. I need someone that can come in with the right energy, the right attitude, that they know that this is just a season, but then that they can grow.
Right.
So tell us, Kyle, what are you working on right now? What is your real estate world look like now?
Yeah, so it's actually changed relatively. I wouldn't say like a complete 180, but last time we met, Deba and Talisa, and I think most people here in DFW know me as someone who deals with hedge funds. So I've been working either like for or just alongside with hedge funds for about the last 4 years now. I got started as an agent for them, and then I was wholesaling to them for the last 2 years. And that has been my business model. For the last 4 to 5 years, I was just flipping contracts over to hedge funds, and we had a lot of success doing so. About 6 months ago, whenever the Fed first raised the rates, I kind of saw the offers and the criteria getting a little bit stricter and stricter and stricter, to where now it's gotten super strict. And there's been a lot of hedge funds that have pulled out of the markets and things along those lines. So that business model has just kind of taken a change. It's not as profitable or as frequent as it used to be. So we've had to kind of make a pivot. One thing that we're doing now is, of course, we still do sell properties to hedge funds. Used to it be we sell, 5 or 6, maybe 10 a month. Now we only sell 1 or 2, but we had to fill that gap, right? Because we've gotten accustomed to a certain amount of deals per month. And so what we've transitioned over to doing, which I'm sure Talisa or someone else on the show has talked about before, is creative finance. So we've pretty much taken a pivot to that. And then also just kind of transitioning from a reverse wholesale business model, which is what we had with the hedge funds, to more of a just traditional business model as far as wholesaling goes, to where now we're building out our buyers lists. We're picking up properties that maybe hedge funds wouldn't even want. Just kind of expanding, on the traditional wholesale business model rather than just kind of having all of our eggs in one basket, which, as we saw over the last 6 months, is definitely not a smart thing to do in general. And so won't be something we do in the future. But that's kind of where my specialty is whenever it comes with dealing with the hedge funds.
So Kyle, tell our audience, if somebody's going to start a wholesale business, should someone focus primarily on only acquisitions or only dispositions or a mixture of both? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so I think that this is a great question because I think a lot of people get this wrong. I think a lot of times whenever you're starting off in wholesaling, people go out and they automatically start with the acquisition side. I believe that in order to, which is fine because you can always find people like me who can dispo it for you, but you're always going to be kind of selling yourself short. If you really want to have a wholesaling business, the lifeline of your business is going to be your buyers. And so I believe that it's important that you locate like whenever you're first getting started, you don't need a lot. Really, you don't even need more than one. If you just find one person who is a legitimate buyer, they're buying a good amount of properties per month, and then just reverse engineer whatever they're looking for through your marketing efforts, and then that will be your acquisitions.
Right. And I want people to know how easy it can really be to find, to find these deals like this. They can tell people how they might be able to find some really great like off market deals, and how they might be able to find some buyers, because I know that even if we just get on Zillow right now and look at properties that somebody just may have renovated, it just sold, they can look up that property, find who the seller was, and if that person bought that home and fixed and flipped it, more than likely they're going to be wanting to buy another home and they're going to want to flip it. And so talk about some different ways that they might be able to find some buyers and some properties without having to spend a ton of money on marketing.
Sure. So we actually do a couple different things, and not all of the things that we do is off market. So we actually do a lot of deals that are all on the market as far as like active MLS listings go. But for off market specifically, there's a lot of different strategies and they all work. It just depends on which one kind of fits your personality the best and which one you're willing to consistently do over the course of time. We, as I've said, this whole call, the kind of theme of it has been cold calling. So we still stick with cold calling. We have a team of VAs that do the initial outreach. And then from there, we have my boy Santiago who steps in and kind of does the lead manager role. And then I'll come in and close it once it's ready to be closed. Driving for dollars, I think, is a great way to get started because it kind of teaches you like your local market as well. And you kind of get like accustomed to, what properties look like that you need to actually be looking for. So driving for dollars, cold calling, I would say those are probably going to be your best two bets whenever you're first starting off. If it's probably going to be difficult for you to just jump in and start cold calling because you have to have software and the lists and everything along those lines. So I think the best thing to do, which is actually how my lead manager, Santiago, came to me now, was he just approached me and said, hey, can I call your leads? Do you have any data I can call on? He made a really good impression on me. So we actually ended up just bringing him into the team altogether. But something along those lines where you find someone who is already has some marketing channels in place, especially if you're brand new and you haven't gotten your first deal yet, and then just kind of squatting up with them, calling their leads, using their platform, using their software, to where you don't have to have any overhead, but you still get to have real estate conversations every single day.
Exactly. And you have somebody there who's done it. They can kind of coach you through those calls and whatnot.
Yeah. And then not only that, but, I think a lot of people just the steps of a transaction whenever you're first getting started can be super daunting. And whenever you partner up with someone like that to that capacity, all you have to worry about is the very first step of the entire sales process, which is just finding someone who's vaguely interested.
Yeah.
After that, you pass it on to the person who already knows what they're doing, and then they close it, and then they handle the transaction coordinating, they handle the contracts, they handle everything all the way up to closing. Well, it shows you what a real life transaction looks like from start to finish, and you don't have to worry about having to figure it out as you go, because by the time you say you do 2 or 3 transactions with that guy and you get to watch him along every step of the way of every single transaction, well, eventually you'll start to figure out 1 and 2 together by yourself. And then at the certain time when you're ready to go out on your own, hopefully you already have a little bit of money in your pocket. So now you have your own software and systems. And then 2, you know what a real estate contract looks like. You know what you're supposed to say to the title company. You know what you're supposed to say to the buyer. Kind of just all the moving parts of a transaction you at least are familiar with at that point.
Right. Wow. You've shared so much about the off-market side. And you mentioned that you also have a side that you're talking about, the MLS. So talk to us about that process and how you work the MLS.
Yeah, so any of the realtors on here are probably going to get kind of upset, and I am a realtor as well, so I would understand y'all's pain if I was in y'all's shoes. But basically what we do is we have a team of virtual assistants who know how to type up the contracts and everything along those lines that I've taught. And essentially we just send out around 20 offers a day on cold MLS listings, ones that have been on the market for a while, ones that have just done a price reduction. Maybe they just went back on the market because the contract fell through. Maybe we just like the way it looks and it fits our criteria. Essentially, we just go through, filter, 20 to 30 properties a day and just send them cold, relatively low ball offers on those listings. And then really the idea is just to get a dialogue started and just to have a conversation to make sure, because what I've come across a lot of times is, the houses don't sell sometimes just because of the agent. And I don't think a lot of people on the outside will realize that. But, I like to at least get a tap on how the agent responds to certain things. And if the agent approaches me super like, hey, this offer is going to be too low, but I think we can make this happen, like super just hungry and wanting to make a deal happen, then that's really all I'm looking for. So we've just automated that process to where all I'm doing is now talking to agents who are actually willing to work on their client's behalf. And then we just figure out exactly what number we can actually do. Funny enough, lately is we've been so this week we executed 2 from that method that they both just accepted our initial offer. And so the whole idea is I'm sending these offers over like almost offensively low in order to then talk to them about creative financing. But they've been accepting these offensively low offers lately. And so a little bit, but I think I just need to make my offers even lower maybe.
Yeah. And are you doing, like, most times if you're doing a wholesale deal, we've always been taught it's like 70% of the ARV minus the ARV. Is that kind of what offers you're putting in, or are they even lower than that?
So no, not necessarily. I'm this is the price of we send it out at. And after being in real estate now for 6 years and knowing DFW so well, I kind of have like a just general gut feeling or an idea of like, okay, this property should be around here. This property should be around there. So it's really not any scientific method to the price that we're getting. We're just trying to get the conversation started. And most of the time it turns out to be really good conversation. So we just closed a sub 2 deal last week that came from this exact method, right? We sent them over an offer. They countered us with a reasonable counter, and then we kind of pivoted into subject 2, and it ended up working out well. But whenever they just accept the low cash offer, that kind of puts us in a little bit of a more situation, because we have to, if it's going to be a cash offer, we do have to then go back and make sure it's at a correct percentage of ARV, or it's going to be hard to move. And so we right now are just sending out, we want it to just be automated and go out quickly without me having to really be that involved with it, because we have, I have a lot of other things that I'm doing right now. And so there's not that much scientific method to it, to be completely honest. It's just kind of a gut feeling whenever I look at it. And luckily so far we've been pretty good at wrapping them up at the right price and still being able to get them moved. For your question more specifically, right now in the market, 70% of ARV is kind of like the max unless it's going to a hedge fund. We're actually seeing that we need our offers closer to like 50% of ARV at this point in time.
And that's what I'm seeing as well. I would say 55%. And I would say 3 months ago, I was even using 65%. And even that now is like way too high for the buyers.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with where my initial offer number is, because if I just send them something like 50% of ARV over initially, sometimes I just get some ugly responses, and so I'm trying to gauge like where's the sweet line to actually just start negotiations. Yesterday we sent out 20 offers at half of whatever their asking price was, so even more aggressive than half of ARV. And yeah, I got some really funny responses from some agents, but we ended up executing one. So that's why it's just kind of right now we're trying to just gauge the market, because the market is so crazy right now that even when we think we're being aggressive enough with our offers, we still end up having people who are wanting to accept it. So that's why right now there's many to it, just because we're trying to fill it out and see which is going to be the best way that works.
Wow. I just love the fact that you're just not afraid to just put it out there. Hey, the worst thing they can say is no. And I hope the viewers are listening, that you just jump. You just go out and do it. Don't worry about if they're offended. If they're offended, it doesn't matter. They don't even know who you are. It's just a piece of paper that you're submitting the offer of what's going on. And I love the fact that you're just like, I don't really have a rhyme or reason. I just throw it out and see what happens. If it sticks, we keep moving. If not, hey, I send another offer.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point, right? Is we want 20 going out every single day. So even if we get, all 20 from one day, we get awful responses, it doesn't matter to me at all, because I know tomorrow I'm going to have a whole nother round of responses to work on. And I know for the industry standard, as far as like realtor outreach goes and realtor deals go, MLS deals, it's a conversion rate of 4 to 6%. And so if we're sending out 600 offers or more a month, then right there alone, we could have at least 24 deals or so. From this method alone. And the whole point of it as well is like, it doesn't take me any manual labor time. We have it all outsourced to where all I have to do is in the morning or throughout the day, I get email responses saying, hey, here's our counter. I check to see the counter. Okay, it's actually reasonable. Oh no, they countered me at list price. Oh, someone just told me they're going to report me to TREC because my offer's too low. Okay, we'll have fun with that. Another thing that we implement in this strategy is, since I am a licensed realtor, we of course use TREC forms. We actually fill it out like I am the representing realtor. We make the email dialogue seem like I'm just the firm's realtor, so on and so on. So it really hits home to us, because I think that it's just another realtor that's representing like a hedge fund. So that's kind of some little trick that we use to kind of just get a better response rate, and that's worked out really well.
Nice.
Oh man, I hope that you guys are listening, because I mean, it's a numbers game, right, Kyle? It really is a numbers game, and it's like, get through those no's as quickly as you can so that you can get to your yeses. And I think a lot of the times when people are starting off, they hear those no's and they begin to get a little bit discouraged. And then the next day comes and they're just like, I'm just not motivated to do it. I got cussed out yesterday. But it's like, all right, you can get 20 no's yesterday and you can get 5 yeses today, but it just keep going. The consistency is everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you get 1 yes a week that leads to a contract and you do 4 deals a month, your life just changed.
Yeah,
absolutely. Man, this is good. Well, Kyle, I loved having you on here. I really think that a lot of our viewers are going to be able to take a lot of good information from this episode. But can you give us one more golden nugget, one more thing that you can just give the viewers, something that they can take with them and just take into action?
Are you talking about just like general like activity, or like for real estate specifically?
Real estate investing specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just talked about it for the last 5-10 minutes. Is you know, every single day that we're taking marketing activities, we're looking to get as many no's as possible. Like, we're not looking for yeses. We are looking to collect an entire mound of no's, because we just know, we know that the more no's we get, the more money we'll make. So we enthusiastically look for no's, because that's what leads to yeses. And people really discount, you know, the power of just what one yes can really do.
Yes.
Whoops, I agree with that 100%. So the lesson for today, you guys, is don't be discouraged by the no's. Embrace the no's. Don't look at the no's as if it's a negative thing. That's a positive. That means you're that much closer to a yes. Deborah, did you want to finish us off today?
Yes. Thank you so much, Kyle, for sharing your story and sharing just how you've been able to navigate with real estate. And hopefully the audience is understanding that you just got to jump in, because once you jump in and you realize there's so many different assets and different ways that you can go into real estate. I mean, Kyle talked about being a realtor, and then now going in and working with hedge funds. And now he's setting up his own wholesale business. And as the market was changing, he still was able to find ways to make it work. So just don't be afraid to try it. If it doesn't work, we'll navigate and find a different way of doing with real estate. So thank you so much, Kyle. It's been an absolute pleasure. And audience, we are so excited to hear and see you. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, you guys. Bye. See you next week.
Guys, appreciate it.